Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Hope you guys been enjoying the content of the channel as of late, and we're once again back with another topic video. Excuse me, it's just been a very long day, and I have a dentist appointment tomorrow. And it's at a very inconvenient time. So I'm planning on recording the video tonight, and then I'm going to be editing it tonight, and it's like 10 p.m. right now. So I'm gonna be doing all this stuff just so I can just have the video out tomorrow and on schedule and all that. So because I usually like to have some space in between certain pieces of content and then having other content available after that day has passed. So um, just to keep me up my on my toes, just to also keep the content going. But I also want to delay this video to now because we're coming off of the weekend, and Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes just came out, and a review will be coming out pretty soon. I'm shooting for Wednesday for the review to be out. I typically watch films on Tuesdays, mainly because it's cheaper, and that's actually the only reason why I do it, is because it's cheaper. Um, but coming off of this weekend, we had actually a solid opening for Planet of the Apes, and came around at 130, I believe. Yeah, 130 globally, which is fair. Has a budget of 160, around that, yeah, like around 160. So it doesn't have much of a hill to climb, thankfully. I was anticipating this to be like a $200 million plus film, and thankfully it isn't. Thankfully, it's a more of a healthy size budget for a blockbuster type. So hopefully, I am anticipating that it will make its money back because it doesn't have much of a hill to climb. And generally speaking, with this month, it doesn't have as much competition. Furiosa being maybe the only thing that stands a chance, but even then, projections are fairly low. I mean, the Garfield movie, of all things, is looking to outpace Furiosa from what I've heard. So, or at least be neck and neck with Furiosa. So, I think that illustrates the kind of competition Planet of the Apes is going to have. So I think Planet of the Apes is going to rule May, um, but I want to really illustrate and make a point that I think some people will disregard just because of things like this. Even though films like Planet of the Apes are proving to potentially be doing overall well, and tracking to be doing well, um, and other films have done well in the past few months. This year so far has still not been good. This has been a rough year still for film and for Hollywood, and um, I think a lot of people don't understand really how rough of a year it's been. Some people just view things mainly from the mainstream media, Pacific films here and there, and like it's not always just Marvel, Star Wars, and all the other stuff. There's other films that also add to that list, and there's a ton of films that have been underperforming, or quote unquote underperforming, which is the term that Hollywood uses for bombs. We just came off The Fall Guy, which did not do well at all, and I predicted it wouldn't do well. Um, and we had other bombs this year so far, like Argyle being the biggest one so far. Um, the other Henry Cavill film, the Ungentlemanly Warfare film, whatever the hell that one is. Civil War, which some people are labeling as a success, it wasn't. Because here's the thing that people also forget is that we're not in 2019. So the old standard of box office measurement does not qualify to today because we're still in a recovery period. So within this recovery period, Hollywood requires more money. They require bigger results in order for films to be considered a success and to be considered a worthwhile investment. So the two times ratio that you would typically use for film probably would apply to 2018, 2019, because Hollywood could tolerate that sort of profit, but not in today because Hollywood is struggling. Hollywood is still recovering from things like the pandemic, or yeah, having the effects of the pandemic still waver on them, and now dealing with streaming, having that being a massive force in entertainment today. uh, there's a lot of competition now for the theatrical experience. The theatrical experience in 2019, but by the point of 2019, was the only place to watch movies for a long, long time. But then the pandemic happened and streaming took over, and now it's here to play and here to stay. So, and theaters are trying to compete with that, and studios are trying to migrate it back to theaters after their whole streaming period, which proved to not be successful. So now they're trying to leap back into theaters, bring back the life, generate the interest. And you saw in 2023 how that interest was just not as big. A lot of people just would prefer to wait on streaming, mainly by the billing of just what's being offered, that you can watch the film in like a month's time, and that's way more appealing for people nowadays versus spending $20 to $30 just to watch a film. Or if you go on Tuesdays, just spend like $5, But um, but that's not really enticing for people anymore. And so with that, films need to prove to be bigger successes, need to pull in larger numbers. So in the case of like Civil War, for instance, yes, it's made over $100 million and it's $50 million film. That so far is not a success. Until it reaches something like 150 or close to 200 million, then that'd be considered a worthwhile success. But right now, it's doing fine, but it's not doing great, and Hollywood needs great numbers, not okay numbers. So, um, and also, as we illustrated in the news roundup, there's a ton of factors that go into to overall success of film. You have to consider not just the production cost, but the marketing cost, other material that goes into it. So it's not just specifically to do with production costs. There's a ton of factors that also play into it. Um, so, and again, Hollywood, where it is right now, also with the increase of just of prices and demand, or just in overall, just the general increase, how things are just financially, things uh are not of a certain number as they were back then. Things are more expensive nowadays. So with that, there is again a greater need for things to make more money. So and so far this year, it has not proven to be so great. Once you understand that that is what's happening, and that's what's at stake really for Hollywood. It's not, how it used to be with the two times ratio. Films need to make three times the budget that they have, or at least for the entire cost, the investment for that film, it has to make at least three times in order to be considered a worthwhile success. Anything below that, it's either just no, or it's just, it's kind of up in the air. It kind of falls to the big bosses of that company, whether that being Warner Brothers, Disney, and then they just kind of deem that either as like passable, I guess that's fine, or not. So, but I mean, generally speaking, though, this year though, it's just not been great. It's really not been great. Abigail didn't do well. God, there's a lot of films compared to. I'll put the list right here of the films that have done well. Like films, there have been films that have done well. There's films like Godzilla, which surprisingly did well. I think a lot of people were surprised by that film doing well. Dune coming in, being the big moneymaker this year so far. Kung Fu Panda also proving to be successful. Um, just recently, Monkey Man did well. And for a minute, it didn't look like it was doing too great, but ended up doing well. Um, and when you look at those polls and those numbers, they have made three times or over that. And those are success stories. That's why you're now hearing about another Godzilla film. That's why you heard about Dune 3 happening now. I'm pretty sure with the Monkey Man thing, I'm pretty sure you'll hear something of a sequel in the works pretty soon here. Um, or something involving Dev Patel as a filmmaker. You will not hear anything about. I mean, Alex Garland already said he's retiring, or quote unquote retiring from making movies, but you're not going to hear anything about like an Argyle 2. You're not going to hear about an Abigail 2. You're not going to hear any like follow ups or any more involvements in that capacity because those films have just not proven to be successful. You know, I mean, in the just by the standard that is today, or just generally, these films have just bombed Argyle being an example of just a film that just flat out bombed. And The Fall Guy just recently being a film that more than likely will be a bomb, you know? Um, so, and it's very concerning. It's concerning so far as 2024 has panned out, and it's concerning to know what the summer is going to be. I'm anticipating a few things potentially doing well. Planet of the Apes, thankfully, being the first of the summer to do something to do potentially well. Um, there's other things out there that might do well. Inside Out 2 might be another one coming up pretty soon that might do well. Garfield movie might do well. Um, a few things here and there that might do well, also like Alien. Deadpool obviously being the big money maker this year, guaranteed. That'll be probably the only $1 billion thing this year, potentially. Who knows? Um, but yeah, it's still it's still a rough year. It's still a rough time, and I think that people um are kind of misjudging that, or at least I believe that people will misjudge this year because even though it's it's not been as bad, at least so far, by the ratio, by just what's done well versus what's not done well. It's concerning going into the summer what will do well and what will not do well. What that ratio will look like. And so far, it looks even with Fall Guy and Planet of the Apes. So Planet of the Apes being the thing that might is looking to do well, and Fall Guy not doing so well. So I mean, we'll see. We have, I think, If, which is coming out this weekend. I'm not anticipating that to do well. Um, but we'll see how this year folds with the summer. But I'm not anticipating much, not much in overall success. I'm thinking a few things here and there, but not a great amount. But yeah, I mean, it's nice that we are there. It's obviously great that there are films out there that are performing well, but when you compare the numbers, again, I'll put it here, when you compare the list of the films that have done well to the films that haven't done well, it's very telling. And it's just illustrates how rough of a time so far Hollywood's having, and the recovery period potentially being longer, who knows? Um, but yeah, so I mean, it's good to hear something like Planet of the Apes doing well, but I mean, I think it underperformed in terms of expectations because I think it was aiming to do like 150, but then it made like 130. But still strong, good opening for considering the budget and all that. Um, but I just don't want people to like think that this year has been great, or oh, this has been a really solid year so far. We have Godzilla, now we have apes. It's like these are just exceptions. These are just a few examples, a few, you know, a few success stories, but that's really what it is so far for 2024. Just a few and not a lot. And Hollywood definitely needs a lot to justify the cost of things, to justify their investments. Cutting back on budgets would be a great thing to do, hopefully, in the future. Um, but yeah, so far it's not been great. It's been how should I say it? It's a little bit in the step in the right direction compared to 2023. Like we're not off on a completely like rough start. Like I said, we do have those films like Godzilla, Kung Fu Panda, Dune, potentially now Planet of the Apes. But I am just I just feel that those are going to be just the exceptions and not the definition of 2024 when it comes to Hollywood, generally speaking. But those are my thoughts. I mean, you guys let me know your thoughts so far about this year. Has it been great? Has it not been great? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Your thoughts on Planet of the Apes performing well. If you guys think that film's going to end up doing well, I think it will. It only needs to do like what 500 million or even less than that to turn a profit to be successful. So I think it's going to do fine. But let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below. And that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. My voice just went super high. Sorry. Thank you guys for tuning in. And until then, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.